Nate Diaz explains why he rejected Conor McGregor Trilogy for Netflix MMA return. For nearly a decade, the unfinished rivalry between Nate Diaz and Conor McGregor has remained one of the most iconic storylines in combat sports. After splitting two historic fights in 2016, Diaz submitting McGregor at UFC 196 and McGregor winning the rematch at UFC 202, the world has long demanded a trilogy bout to settle the score. But in 2026, Diaz shocked fans by walking away from that opportunity. Instead of returning to the UFC for a third fight with McGregor, Diaz chose a completely different path, headlining a groundbreaking MMA event on Netflix under Jake Paul's Most Valuable Promotions, MVP. A new era over old rivalries. Diaz's decision wasn't just about one fight, it was about reshaping his career. Reports revealed that he was actually in talks with the UFC about a return, which could have included the long-awaited McGregor trilogy. However, Diaz ultimately declined and signed with MVP, effectively closing the door on a UFC comeback. This move signals a major shift in how Diaz views his legacy. Rather than revisiting old rivalries, he's choosing to be part of something new, an evolving fight industry where athletes have more control outside traditional promotions. The Netflix card, headlined by Ronda Rousey vs. Gina Carano, is being described as a historic moment for MMA. Diaz's fight against Mike Perry is part of a stacked lineup that also includes names like Francis Ngannou. Money wasn't the only factor. While financial incentives always play a role in fight decisions, Diaz's choice appears to go beyond just money. According to discussions in the MMA world, Diaz was offered extremely lucrative deals, potentially even comparable to what he could earn fighting McGregor. Still, Diaz opted for the Netflix event. Why? Because this wasn't just another payday, it was a chance to headline a new platform and be part of a global streaming evolution in combat sports. Independence and control. Diaz has always been known for doing things his own way. Leaving the UFC in 2022, he entered free agency and explored boxing, fighting Jake Paul and later Jorge Masvidal. Now, his return to MMA under MVP reflects a desire for independence. Instead of being tied to the UFC system, Diaz is aligning himself with a promotion that gives fighters more flexibility and ownership over their careers. Some analysts even believe this decision marks a turning point in MMA, where fighters can build major events outside the UFC banner. The McGregor trilogy, a missed opportunity. From a fan perspective, the decision is bittersweet. The Diaz vs. McGregor rivalry is one of the biggest in MMA history, with both fights breaking records and capturing global attention. A trilogy bout would likely have been one of the biggest fights ever. However, timing and circumstances played a role. McGregor is still planning his own comeback after years away due to injury, and uncertainty around his return timeline may have influenced Diaz's decision. Rather than waiting, Diaz chose to move forward. Legacy over nostalgia. Ultimately, Diaz's decision comes down to legacy. Instead of revisiting the past, he's betting on the future, on streaming platforms, new promotions, and a different model for MMA success. By headlining a Netflix event, Diaz isn't just fighting, he's helping redefine how fights are delivered to fans worldwide. And while the McGregor trilogy may never happen, Diaz seems content knowing he made the choice on his own terms.